Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the history of Power Rangers, and today, well, we left Earth, and now we are hanging out with the Power Rangers in space. Yeah, this is basically the 4th season. Actually, wait, 6th season, sorry. This is actually, to many people, the one that saved the franchise. And I think we get a lot of crossovers here. Well, 2 in the actual season, 1 next season, but you'll get the idea, right? Anyway, so let's take a look back at this historic season and check out Power Rangers in Space. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Check out both parts down below. Let's go.
The Power Rangers are just pretend, you know, comic
just that face.
What are those things? I can't believe it, but I think they're...
It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've been certified turtle-fied.
This ship is officially a green machine. Hold on to your shells.
What is that?
Wait a minute. You're asking a turtle who lives in a sewer to explain a cosmic event?
Excellent! We got our own spaceship!
Mega ship will self-destruct in 60 seconds.
Greetings, dear viewers, and welcome to Power Rangers in Space.
Go, Power Rangers! Let's go!
Behind the scenes of Power Rangers Turbo, as I said last episode, there was some discontent in the production team about how to proceed with the Sentai footage they had. But if the idea of adapting a parody of Sentai into Power Rangers proved difficult, Mega Ranger, the Sentai that In Space was based on, proved even more of a challenge. Early production information that Saban had received about the series showed spaceships, concepts for space-themed designs, and the idea of fighting an evil alien force in the depths of space. The actual Sentai was nothing like that. No, in fact, the group stayed on Earth. Mega Ranger was a video game-themed Sentai. While they did have 4 spaceships that converted into giant robots, they never left Earth orbit. To make matters worse, the staff for the series had a reduced budget because of Turbo. Faced with these difficulties, the production team decided, screw it, it's the last season and we're gonna pull out all the stops anyway. They don't have footage of flying in space? Fine, we'll shoot it ourselves and have the model against a green screen. It looks terrible, but who cares? Move on. Something that people often forget.
You know, actually, that's a good call. And I think nowadays, we recognize those suits as the in-space crew more than the Mega Rangers, to be honest. Which is actually kind of surprising when you think of it like that, too. Honestly, I haven't seen Mega Rangers because, like I said, this was before I got into the, fandom, so I have next to no knowledge about that one, so I got nothing. And the whole video game thing, yeah, little heads up, high schoolers. I'm not kidding. I'm not sure it was like a computer virus or one of the games just suddenly gained sentience, AI, so... Like I said, just gonna have to look up the Sentai when I get the chance. Back to it.
Forget is that you don't need great special effects in order to carry a great show or movie. The special effects for In Space look bad, but the audience is willing to suspend their disbelief because the story is good.
Again,
and the story for In Space is one of the biggest and best written in the entire show. Mind you, some of that is because of that ambition of it being the last season. The production team cared about the show, wanted to give it a proper conclusion after 6 years of a continuing story, and how much they cared is pretty evident in the final product. The season begins with the 2-parter From Out of Nowhere. At the Sumerian planet, there's a gathering of the United Alliance of Evil. The villains of the show are all here. Zed, Rita, Master Vile, Mondo, Machina, General Havoc, and of course, Divatox. Mondo and Machina don't look like they're in the best of shape, which is understandable. I'd say it's likely that the Alliance only recently rebuilt them, and given the state of the Empire at the end of Zeo, they're probably in no position to strike out on their own again. Divatox is gloating about her victory over the Power Rangers when she runs into Rita. This is where we also learned that none of the female villains get along. At all.
How wonderful to see you.
Frida. It's Rita!
Rita.
Though it is quite a refreshing breath of air when Rita tries to attack Divatox with her staff. However, the blast is intercepted by a new villain in silver and black leather. This is Astronema, and she really makes a good first impression in these early scenes. Silent, menacing, and mysterious. The only downside is that in the early episodes, when she does speak, they really had her chewing the scenery. I think they should have kept her quieter and only go over the top when she failed.
What are you doing here? Quantrons, 3
throw him off my dark fortress.
Still, like
Yeah,
I said, the
talk about
very
a little
first time
too
we
much
see
there.
her, it's quite well done.
Whoopsie.
Also among them is a figure wearing a very concealing robe who just walks around the evil forces, watching, waiting, and observing. This is also a good time to talk about the theme song. Ron Wasserman once more brings his talents to it, and like all of his work, is pretty damn addicting. Especially the beginning countdown and the raw, cheesy glory of declaring, "In space!"
There we go.
Also, a nice touch for the first episode is that Divatox is still listed as the villain, and the new Red Ranger isn't revealed, keeping it a surprise for the events that unfold. The rest of the music in the season is mixed for me. It doesn't have quite the same epic rock feel as previous seasons, using a lot more of this kind of synth stuff that's like an old MIDI file.
Also,
it's not
did she
bad,
change
it's
her
just
hair
a bit of a
fast?
downgrade in my opinion. Though there are some fights where we have a more old school feel, including a weird version of Go-Go Power Rangers that I've been unable to find as an isolated track, as
Really?
in not just ripped from the episode.
That is odd.
No idea where this came from or why it was made. The Alliance sits down for
I guess
dinner, and we
Ken,
finally
final
meet
season,
Dark
why not?
Spectre, the creature responsible for capturing Zordon.
Spectre.
And it turns out that it's
Whoa.
Malagor from the Turbo
Again?
movie. Or
Oh.
rather, the Malagor costume. Yeah, cost-saving measures, I know, but every time I see him, I just wonder why they're fighting this guy again. Malagor explains that he's put Zordon in a lava chamber that will slowly extinguish his power and destroy him. Zed proposes a toast to Dark Spectre, and everyone drinks.
Except our
the
mystery
figure in the
stranger.
cloak. When asked why he didn't join in the toast, Astronema points out that he's a spy, and the evil forces get to work. Goldar pulls off the guy's cloak and reveals a Red Ranger. While I could joke about how obviously he can't drink it thanks to the helmet, it does make me realize, how hard is it for Zed to eat and drink through that grate? Anyway, the villains are in shock at this reveal, allowing the Rangers to leap onto a galaxy glider and fly off. Dark
think I
Spectre
call it
says
the
that the Ranger has to
Cyber
be
Slider in the
caught before he
Sentai.
tells anyone about Zordon. Both Divatox and Rita volunteer to go after him.
Hi. Remember me? You remind me so much of my fiancée.
However, Dark Spectre gets tired of these shenanigans and charges Astronema with the task of finding and
All right,
destroying the
Divatox,
Ranger.
you
Back in the
shafted.
shuttle, the Rangers gaze
Happy
out
said.
into the vastness of space, still in pretty bad shape after what happened at the end of Turbo. TJ asks Alpha how much longer it'll take to get to Eltar, but it seems Alpha's voice chips were damaged in the explosion,
God damn it.
and it's only now affecting him, so he can only speak in gibberish. Before they can worry about it for
Yeah,
too
boy.
long, the shuttle comes across a vessel in space that brings them on board. This is the Astro Megaship, the home of the Red Ranger we saw earlier. It's equipped with an artificial intelligence named Dekka, who observes the group
Dekka.
as they walk around. The Rangers
Eh?
explore the ship and eventually come to the
Creepy.
bridge, looking for answers. The Red Ranger arrives, but believes the others are an attacking force, despite the group's pleas, and the fact that they are clearly a
jeez.
bunch of disheveled people in half-burnt
Hey,
clothes.
get back here.
Also, you'd think Dekka would warn him about them being on board before he came in. The Rangers get
Yeah,
trapped
think-
down below
oh,
as
heads up.
Astronema attacks the megaship, disabling its engines. The Rangers manage to repair them, convincing the Red Ranger that they're on the up and up.
Oh,
Despite
see,
that, they
Alpha-
crash on a nearby planet. Astronema
Here's the double
lands,
check,
releasing
oh.
her foot soldiers called Quantrons. The Quantrons are a huge step up from the Piranhatrons.
Yeah, definitely.
They're
A
sleek and
lot more
silver,
steel.
carrying around huge blades, and instead of
Dual-edged
random
blades,
imitation
yeah.
fish noises, we have a highly synthesized voice to give them a very robotic feel. The Red Ranger
they
goes
actually
out to
talk?
face the approaching forces, and the Rangers insist on coming
We're
along
coming
to help.
along.
They fight valiantly, but it's pretty apparent that without their powers, they're
Yeah, they're
outclassed.
screwed.
The Red Ranger, however, manages to fight them off. He demorphs, revealing Legolas! Or rather,
does
his
look
name
like
is
Legolas.
Andros. Surprisingly, he's human.
Earth isn't the only place where humans live.
Yeah, but it's also
Ain't
kind of
wrong.
strange that evolution should just happen to create humans on two different planets. Unless my joke about the Goa'uld pyramid ship in Zeo is accurate. Quick, someone shout out Jaffa Kree and see what happens. He explains that
Jaffa
he's from a
Kree?
space colony
Sorry, I had
called
to do it.
KO-35. Ashley
You know, actually, kind of wondering, like, you think if we ever explore the galaxy, we'll just run into, like, someone from another planet looks exactly like us? Like, I mean, not saying, like, an alternate Earth, like an Earth 2, I think. More like just a species that looks a lot like us. You know? Kind of interesting. Anyway,
He clearly crushes on him, a relationship that'll develop over the season. The group gets to work repairing both the ship and Alpha. Andros tells them about Zordon's situation, but refuses to let them help him, seemingly because of their inexperience in space. An excuse that kind of falls flat when you later learn that outer space also has its own Old West. Alpha's voice is repaired, but now instead of speaking jive, it's back to a more high-pitched voice. It's not the same as Alpha 5's voice, but it's better than the original Alpha 6 one.
I don't have a computer chip with his old voice.
Oh, that's all right, Andros. I'm quite happy with this one, thank you. Hi-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya!
The Rangers head back to the
works
shuttle,
better.
but Alpha is missing. Turns out he stayed behind on the megaship to convince Andros to join with the others. He makes a convincing argument, and Andros heads back to pick them up. The Quantrons attack again, capturing the Rangers and letting them meet Astronema for the first time, but Andros comes to the rescue. He gives the four their astromorphers.
All right, let's
Here we
rock
go. Let's rock it. Also, why that number?
The only major changes here are that
wondering about
TJ
that.
becomes the Blue Space Ranger and Carlos the Black Space Ranger. I like the Space Ranger uniforms. They're pretty simple and
green and black are
streamlined,
always usually
along with
interchangeable
helmets that have a very alien look to them, if that makes any sense. I admit I don't quite understand the color squares in the front of the outfits. Yeah, I know they
Maybe
match
one for
their
each of the
colors, but
Rangers?
why just a bunch of colored squares? But otherwise, they're
Yeah,
cool.
that's the
Astronema
Sentai
launches
guys.
another attack with fighters, and the Rangers head back to the megaship. Alpha hooks the power chamber black box into the computer system, revealing that the shuttle and the megaship were always meant to hook together to form the Astro Megazord, as part of a plan set up by Zordon. This actually kinda makes sense. I never did
How so?
understand why the Nasada director was so quick to trust Justin's word that the Power Rangers needed the shuttle, but it'd make sense if Zordon had contacted him in advance and made sure that the Rangers could use it in the event of an emergency where they needed to head into space. Well, I mean,
makes
besides for that
sense.
time where they teleported through space to a ruined planet. The Astro Megazord is
Again,
pretty
no
cool
Zordon.
too. As opposed to previous Megazords, it's just two objects, the Megaship and the shuttle, instead of 5 Zords. And hey, considering how little
big one.
screen time the Zords usually get operating as individual crafts, it's good that we keep things simple here. They destroy the attacking spacecraft and head back to Earth to make repairs to the megaship, Andros giving them spiffy little uniforms as well. Astronema, however, follows behind them, swearing to destroy the Earth as well. From out of nowhere is a superb start to the season, setting up how the Rangers get their powers and establishing the new status quo. Looking back on this after seeing the rest of the show's run, it seems like every really good season of Power Rangers is made in direct response to a poorer season, trying to take the good ideas from the bad seasons and improving upon
and all
them.
that.
In this case, it's a much better example of the team growing up than seen in Turbo. They have no mentor or wise sage to consult.
They're all their
they
own.
only have each other. Andros brings something new to the table as the lead Red Ranger, partially serving the mentor role
Experience
because of
in
his
space and
experience
all.
as a space ranger, and Alpha remains on hand to run the megaship whenever they go off on a mission. There's a real sense of
Alpha.
optimism about their mission, that they will find Zordon, even though they have no idea where to start looking. In the next episode, we get...
I think with them, it's more like, we'll figure out something. We're Rangers. We always find a way. Or something like that. I don't know if that's accurate, but best I got. Anywho, moving on.
Vulcan Skull's shtick
Thanks,
for the
guys.
season, searching for alien life forms with a new character named Professor Phenomenus. Phenomenus is a
That's a
genius,
one.
but
What happened
hampered
to
by his
Lieutenant
own
Stone?
occasional bumbling behavior, and as such he makes a good match for Vulcan Skull. Lieutenant Stone is gone, and sadly so is the Juice Bar, a mainstay of the show for 5 years. Admittedly, it's disappointing to lose, if just for the familiar atmosphere. They try to make a new place, the Surf Spot, but it's just not the same. Some were upset that in my original version of this video back in 2010, I didn't mention Adele Ferguson, the proprietor of the Surf Spot.
Adele,
And now I have mentioned her. Look,
There
the
you
thing
go.
is, she really doesn't do anything in the season, which is kind of my complaint about the entire idea of having the Surf Spot at all. With the Juice Bar, there were plots centered around activities happening there, tied in with the fact that the Rangers,
Makes
as
sense.
teenagers, would hang out at the youth center, and their
Rumble?
subplots as teenagers would help drive forward the monster of the day and whatnot. Ernie and Lieutenant Stone would help support and drive other things, usually comedic subplots done by Bulk and Skull. Here, the Surf Spot is just a place
restaurant?
they sometimes go to. And the weirdest part is that it's just a redress of the youth center anyway. Why bother changing
why not?
it? In turn, not sure
What happened to the
exactly
youth
why
center?
they let go of Lieutenant Stone, though I've read that the writers felt like he, Miss Appleby, and Principal Kaplan were just not needed anymore. And they're not entirely
considering
wrong.
they got
As the season goes
graduation,
on, the
let's say-
Rangers continue to mature to the point where they are pretty much adults, to the point where it seems they graduate from high school off screen.
I mean, they're
Early
really
in the
in space.
season, we
No need
actually
to
do have the
space or
final
school.
times we ever see Angel Grove High School. Even include some old school kind of plots before disappearing altogether. But yeah, it makes no sense that the Rangers are still in high school when we frequently see the group staying overnight in the megaship while they continue their searches for Zordon. Having them still be in high school raises all sorts of questions, not the least of which being where the hell their parents think they are. To my utter irritation, Elgar is assigned to work with Astronema, though fortunately he has a considerably reduced role. Unlike Divatox, Astronema doesn't put up with Elgar's crap.
You see, I would build a machine so big that it would take...
You talk too much.
While on Earth, Andros reveals that he
more
has
like a
telekinetic abilities.
shut up.
Ah, new types. Those humans in space really do bring out such abilities. He admittedly doesn't use them
weird.
very often later in the series, and because he's an alien, I don't really mind them.
Too
In
much
future
headache?
Ranger series, they'll start introducing civilian powers, and I'll get to my feelings about them on a per-season basis. The Rangers over
To be fair, I don't think that's a thing even in Sentai anymore. Like, they're just, I think, even if they do include powers, it's usually because of the tribe or the morphing item, you know, all that. Like, say, real soldiers, right? I think Red's the only one with the ability, but I think that's because of his rage. But again, it doesn't really play that much. And again, it's usually the leader. Actually, now that I think about it, there is one. Hero Major. You know, the one before Zenkaijers and Dumb Brothers. Again, I don't see it often, but it's usually the Red Ranger, or at least the lead Ranger that does it. And back to my Cure Ranger thing, it's more like, you know how he goes like, Cure to begin? You know, Eureka moments? It's basically him coming up with an idea for the mechs. Yeah, basically the mech designs of Cure Majors apparently came from his head. And he was apparently a great artist, just, here it is. All that. Just look up Cure Major, you'll know what I mean. But anyway, enough Sentai, moving along.
over here Bulk and Skull talking about seeing the Dark Fortress and run off to get the last of the supplies and head back for the ship. After a fight with some Quantrons, we meet Astronema's right-hand man, Ecliptor. Ecliptor, as we'll discover, is one of the more well-developed villains, though in the early episodes, he's just a badass, easily able to walk through the Rangers without too much difficulty. However, we've now reached a point that I've been dreading. There is one episode of the series that is infamous to many, and it's why I had it be the intro to this video. No, you're not seeing things. Those are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. At the same time as Power Rangers in Space was on the air, there was also a live-action TMNT series called Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. It's equally infamous among Turtles fans for the introduction of a female turtle, Venus, and the idea that the Turtles aren't really biological brothers. I admit watching it as a little kid and liking it, but it really was not that good. In fact, it only lasted one season, 26 episodes, and of those, at least 2 were clip shows. I don't even know how the hell you have a clip show when you have only 1 season, much less 2. Clip shows are usually done as a budget saver, but if your budget was so crappy to need 2 in a normal-length season, why even bother with the show at all? Well, what the hell do I know? Power Rangers would end up doing the same thing in later seasons. 1 or 2 clip shows per season. I also find the idea of this crossover kind of humorously ironic, because when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers premiered, it was actually seen by some as a ripoff of Ninja Turtles. Mostly because of the complicated name, but still, that was a thing. The episode goes like this. Astronema brainwashes the Turtles to work for her and has them trick the Rangers into letting them on board the megaship. Once there, they take over, the brainwashing gets undone, Turtles and Rangers win the day. The dialogue is awful and head-scratching at points, like when the Turtles tell Astronema that the Power Rangers don't really exist. The Rangers were on a talk show once. There are frequent monster attacks reported by the news saying that the Rangers are engaging the monsters. Angel Grove even has special rules and regulations related to monster attacks. Also, whoever was in charge of the Turtles' face animatronics and lining up their voices really dropped the ball. The male Turtles all sound exactly the same and they never look like they're really speaking. Not helped by the fact that while they use the suits from Next Mutation, the voice and suit acting actors are different from the regular show, evidently due to Power Rangers being produced in California while Ninja Turtles was produced in Canada. Despite how bizarre and terrible this episode is, there is an amusing bit where Raph hits Elgar, and I like seeing Elgar get hit. In fact, let's see that again. Ha! That's for Zordon's tube, you cone-headed freak! As time goes on, we learn a bit more about Andros' backstory. His sister, Perone, was kidnapped by a monster as a little girl, and he continues to search for any sign of her even to this day. In addition, his homeworld, again, the oddly named KO-35, wouldn't you call your own planet something other than a number? Was attacked by the forces of evil long ago, forcing the population to leave it. Andros has his own character development.
Are they still there? Have they ever gone back? I guess they were attacked once. The UAE was like, we'll just leave them alone. And they're like, what did they come back? Oh, let's just leave the planet alone forever. Just weird. That's all I gotta say. Anyway.
Development over the course of the series, related mostly to learning how to accept the help of the other Rangers. By the by, what the hell was up with Astronoma's hair? She kept changing its color every other episode. While there were some filler episodes, a lot of them served different purposes, both thematically and to show the Rangers weren't just resting on their laurels. For example, Satellite Search showed the Rangers continue their search for Zordon. Wasp with a Heart, while technically filler, is actually something we'll get to when we explore the themes of this season, especially since, despite some melodrama, it's an episode that perfectly encapsulates the season's overarching story. However, the main search for Zordon was continued in The Delta Discovery. Fortunately, the Space Rangers aren't the only ones hunting for Zordon. The Phantom Ranger has been tracking Divatox, who's in charge of holding Zordon. The Phantom Ranger sends a signal to our heroes to get their help, but he's discovered by Divatox. I guess losing his Ruby last season weakened him or something, because he has a major problem contending with the Piranhatrons, despite being able to easily kick their asses last time. Of course, the Rangers immediately spring into action and speed off to the planet, but sadly arrive too late and Zordon is moved before they can reach him. The Phantom Ranger is intercepted by Astronema and the Quantrons, overwhelming him. Before the Phantom Ranger collapses, he gives them the location of the Delta Megaship, another vessel and Zord that they can use. When they try to find him again, he's already left, but he does leave a farewell message to Cassie to tie up their kinda, sorta, not really romance
weird
from
relationship,
last season. There was evidently a plan to finally explain the origins of the Phantom Ranger, or at least clear up his identity. In fact, I've read that there was a scene filmed in the season finale that would have finally revealed who he was, but was removed when said finale was supposed to be 3 parts and then got shortened to 2. According to writer Judd Lynn, they simply ran out of time to come up with an answer of who the Phantom Ranger was, though apparently Shuki Levy did have a pitch for him being an embodiment of the spirits of fallen Power Rangers of the past, or a ghost robot, which sounds absolutely ridiculous and awesome, and now I'm wondering why I don't see ghost robots in more media. The Delta Megazord is cool in its own right, with Gatling gun hands, but of course all the best Megazords combined together. As such, the two Megazords are capable of merging and kicking even more ass. Along with it was the Battleizer, which both controlled the Delta Megaship, as well as gave Andros an advanced armor and weapon, aka a new toy to sell. As I said, in some filler episodes...
Yeah, and actually the Battleizer, now I remember, this was actually the first season that's ever been shown. Like, sure you see power-up forms in the Sentai, but for Power Rangers, this is the first. Actually, if I remember correctly, the power-ups from Mega Rangers was different. It was like this gold tacked armor, which I'm not sure we'll see here, but anyway, you'll see the scene in a minute, but if you guys know the season, you know the power-up. Anyway...
we'd frequently see the Rangers heading out to different planets searching for signs of Zordon. Now, this would get sidetracked for some reason, but at least the Rangers were making an effort in checking planets.
We're gonna go check out a planet in the Dagobah system. We'll be back maybe a couple hours.
And hell, if Yoda can't help them find Zordon, who can? As time went on, we also met Darkonda, a treacherous bounty hunter who once worked with Ecliptor. While Ecliptor is more of a dark knight, Darkonda is gleefully evil, delighting in causing pain, and continually makes plans to benefit himself. After Darkonda manages to trick Astronema into letting him serve as Ecliptor's equal, Andros studies the video record of his sister's kidnapping and realizes that it was Darkonda who took her. Come to think of it, why does he have that? Who recorded it? Andros follows Darkonda to a villain planet that, as I mentioned earlier, weirdly resembles an old west town, and he manages to get his hands on some key cards that used to belong to Zordon, thanks to a game of space poker, as well as learning that his sister is alive. After an intense fight with Darkonda, the Rangers head out to one of Jupiter's moons based on the information in the key cards, discovering a new set of Zords, the Mega Voyager. Zordon had apparently hidden them there in case of an emergency. Like when the Rangers broke the Thunder Zords, or when the command center got blown up, or when Eltar was under attack. Anyway, they're up to 3 Megazords now. Darkonda ends up destroyed at the end of the encounter, but we soon learn that Darkonda actually has extra lives. No, seriously, he has extra lives, though we've yet to see if he has a save game.
Is a 9-live cat monster?
Anyway, since it was believed that space would be the last season, there was some more cleanup to be done for the previous season. Specifically, Stormblaster and Lightning Cruiser, who had been taken by Divatox at the end of Turbo. The two cars have been enslaved, basically being forced by Piranatrons to haul cargo across a desert planet. Stormblaster manages to escape and heads off to Earth. Divatox asks Astronema to let her know if she sees it, but of course Astronema plans to take the car for herself. The Rangers try to defend it, but are captured. With no other place to go, Stormblaster goes to Justin for help. Justin's really good here as we see him worrying about the Rangers, obviously not able to keep in touch because, well, they've been in space and all.
I wish my friends are okay.
Stormblaster brings him to the others and reveals a spare morpher for his turbo powers. Admittedly, no idea where the power for the morpher comes from, since the Rangers lost their powers when Eltar was conquered, but if I had to hazard a guess, it's probably tied directly into Stormblaster. Either that, or the power loss for the turbo powers was only temporary and the Rangers just didn't know. The point is, as the episode is titled, it's True Blue to the rescue, as Justin comes to the aid of the others. After destroying the monster, the Rangers head off to rescue Lightning Cruiser and succeed. However, we never see them aiding the group anymore like they did before, so we never learn their ultimate fate. My guess is that they joined up with Justin to defend the Earth in whatever city he ended up moving to at the end of Turbo. We never see Justin.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And also, if I remember correctly, it was actually, I want to say like a special movie in Japan where the Sentai versions of Turbo and Mega, or in this case, in space, were actually a real thing. It was like Car Ranger, or wait, sorry, just trying to remember how this worked. It was like all new. Anyway, it was like the Car Rangers X or V, Mega Rangers, That's a thing. I think it was like a wish-granting baby dragon, I think? Yeah, like I said, sometimes weird sometimes. Just trust me. Like I said, the two teams actually teamed up there fully, so it's not just Justin, it's like the Red Ranger, all of the Rangers joined together. So no Blue Centurion, sorry. Anyway, moving along.
Justin lose his morpher or anything, so one can probably assume he still has it at the end of the episode. The end with him saying goodbye really highlights the better writing for the season.
I think about you guys a lot. I wonder if you're okay.
Sure, I admit, Justin could get grating sometimes, but he was still one of the team, and they all cared about each other. However, while two Blue Rangers working together might not have worked, it turns out there is a sixth Ranger that none of them knew about. After the Rangers are chased off the planet by some Jawas, the Rangers discover a hidden chamber in the engine room with a Ranger in cryogenic suspension and being monitored by medical equipment. Andros reveals that it's Zane, the Silver Ranger. He and Zane used to be a team, until the day Dark Spectre's forces attacked KO-35 and wrecked it. During the fight, Zane destroyed a monster, but took the full force of its explosion. Zane was alive, but severely injured. Andros put him in the cryogenic tube with the hope that the unit would heal him over time. However, there's no guarantee that it'll work, or how long the process would take. As a result, Zane has been in the tube for 2 years. The incident with Zane helps explain why Andros preferred to work alone and didn't want to have the others join him at the beginning of the season. He didn't want anyone else to get hurt, and it was just safer to work alone. While he doesn't blame himself for the incident, he owed his friend for saving his life, possibly at the cost of his own. Ashley asks him why he never told them, but he doesn't answer. My guess would be that he didn't want them to know firsthand that sometimes a Ranger doesn't survive the harsher aspects of the superhero life. After all, Zane has been in the tube for 2 years now with no guarantee that his condition is improving.
We did get mentions like the Phantom Ranger being Fallen Rangers,
and it's entirely possible that it can happen to the rest of them. Damage to the megaship forces it to crash, and the Jawas attack again. They do more external
Martini!
damage to the
Sorry,
ship,
done.
which naturally causes the healing chamber where Zane is stored to malfunction. He flatlines, but the jolt wakes him up. He comes out none the worse for wear, and the team unites to destroy a monster. Zane has his own special weapon, the Super Silverizer. It's a gun that becomes a sword, which of course makes it awesome. Zane himself, personality-wise, is kind of a smug bastard, but loyal and friendly. However, we quickly learn something's wrong with him. He keeps demorphing when he doesn't want to.
Hey, you shouldn't demorph here. Someone might see you.
Oh no, someone might
He just said that,
not recognize him.
Yeah, the hell?
But Alpha examines him and discovers that while he was in his morphed state in the cryo chamber, his morphing power was slowly leaking, like a parked car that's still running. He needs a concentrated burst of electrical energy right into his body, so he heads for a lightning storm and holds up his morpher. This is the sort of thing that usually results in a Darwin Award, but instead it fully revitalizes his powers. Following that, Zane rescues Astronema when one of her monsters starts attacking her. This builds towards the idea of the two getting into a romance, but sadly nothing really comes from it, because Zane has to miss their date to stop a monster. In the following episode, though, Astronema still seems to be pining for him. However, the real thing to note is that Astronema ditches her black leather for a few brief minutes. Now, isn't that interesting? Zane briefly leaves the team.
Yeah, I mean, so I can only imagine, like, when Zane figured out, like, again, spoilers, that Andromeda is, like, Andros' sister, I think he would be like, should I tell him, I don't know how I feel, like, you imagine how awkward it would be, you, like, dating your partner's sister, like, unknowingly, like, woof. I mean, funny, but, that's gotta play something. Anyway, moving along.
For a few episodes when the Rangers, while tracking an energy source that may be Zordon, discovers a force of rebels from KO-35. Zane decides to stay to help the rebels against Dark Spectre, but says he'll return when they need him. Following this, there was one more team up with a former Ranger. Always a chance. During a fight with a monster, Carlos accidentally hits Cassie with his weapon, severely injuring her arm. Carlos, worried about possibly hurting her or one of the others again, keeps second-guessing himself and considers leaving the team. He engages the monster again single-handedly, but he's almost defeated if not for someone stepping in to save him at the last minute.
Nice kick. Hey, Adam. Good time, huh?
It's great to see Adam in action again, just wailing on the monster and forcing it to retreat. Adam offers to help Carlos do some training to help hone his skills so he'll be less likely to make mistakes. After a training montage and an attempt at blind fighting, Carlos still is shaky and questioning himself.
I can't do this. You're wasting your time. I'm no Power Ranger. Man, I can't believe this guy.
After Carlos sulks off, Adam and Alpha talk, with Adam commenting that he sometimes wishes he was still a Ranger. Turns out he even still has his old morpher, though Alpha insists that he not use it.
The power coins were destroyed, which means morphing could destroy you.
Don't worry, Alpha. It was just a thought.
It's quite an interesting thought, though, isn't it? The idea that maybe the old powers are not completely gone. Carlos decides to quit being the Black Ranger, but when the Quantrons attack him and Adam, Adam decides he needs to try using his morpher, even while Alpha and Adam yell at him not to. While the morph is successful, clearly it's not working at full strength, as his powers keep cutting out and returning. Carlos regains his confidence and helps the Rangers defeat the monster. It should be noted that despite Alpha's objection to Adam using the morpher is that the power coins were destroyed, Adam doesn't invoke the ninja powers. Both the power coin and the phrase he calls out are for the original Mastodon coin. Which makes sense. The ninja power coins were indeed destroyed, but not the originals. The power surge that wrecked the Zords and purportedly destroyed their original powers was, well, just that, a power surge. I can see that it would damage their morphers and the coins, as we see with all the scarring and cracks on Adam's morpher, but sometimes even broken electronics can still partially function. The fact that he can still morph also suggests that the powers can be repaired. It would make sense that Zordon couldn't repair them himself, since, as we learned, he didn't create the coins, but discovered them. he would have no idea how to really fix them. And given the fact that the Space Rangers were able to learn the advanced technology and technobabble of the megaship, it's not so far out that the Rangers could study the technology behind the morphers and the coins and fully repair them at some point. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a leap, but I think it's the best explanation for what we're going to see in some future episodes. In any case, Always a Chance is a great episode, with some nice introspection and character development for Carlos, plus it's just great to see Adam in the old Mighty Morphin suit. Watching the episode as a kid was magical, especially since it's not like there were a lot of spoilers for Power Rangers or trailers hyping the appearance on the internet at the time. It just happened, and by that point, the idea of seeing the original suits and powers at any point after Zeo was shocking and wonderful. The story continues as Andros takes on Darkonda, trying to get more information on his sister. We see yet another flashback to Karon's kidnapping, which can probably be counted as its own morphing sequence at this point, considering how often they've shown it. We also learn Astronema's backstory, that she was left on Ecliptor's doorstep, and he's raised her since she was a child. Ecliptor claims that her family was destroyed by the Power Rangers. After learning that, if you have 2 functioning brain cells, you should have figured it out. Astronema is Karon, raised to be evil. Upon Andros discovering Astronema's pendant contains pictures of them as children, the two discover the truth about each other. Astronema at first doesn't believe it, but the more she thinks about it, the more sense it makes. Ecliptor admits the truth to her, but she says it doesn't matter, that she's still evil to the core. We get a truly epic fight between Darkonda and Ecliptor that takes up the first several minutes of an episode. Sure, Darkonda survives, save for another lost life, but Ecliptor really puts up a great fight. It's another cool first for this season. Evil generals fighting each other on this kind of scale. After all, it's not like Goldar ever battled Rito or anything like that. Astronema is told by Dark Spectre to destroy Andros to prove her loyalty. She goes to Andros and tells him that she knows where Zordon is, and she's brought to the megaship. The Rangers, not being totally rock stupid, insist that she be restrained. It's understandable. Tommy and Kat in the past were welcomed with open arms, but they were both under mind control. Astronema, on the other hand, has been raised to be totally evil, and the evidence they have isn't enough to fully trust her yet. However, she gives them Zordon's location, and the Rangers speed off to finally find him. There are some really good bits here, like Astronema asking about her and Andros' parents. It's short and lasts just long enough to provide character development, nor is it some cheesy link to her turning good at the end. Astronema makes Dark Spectre believe that she's captured the Rangers, and he lowers the force field around the planet. A squad of Velocifighters, the fighter craft that Astronema launches from her Dark Fortress, escort the megaship, but because the Rangers are uncertain of where they're leading the ship, they change course. An atmospheric storm, however, causes the megaship to be struck by lightning, and they crash on the planet. When Andros checks on Astronema, he finds her gone and the cargo bay doors open. The Rangers conclude that she was leading them into a trap. Because of the possibility that Zordon is on the planet, though, the Rangers go searching through the forest. During a battle, Astronema leads Andros away, and right to Zordon. Wow, finally reunited with him after so long!
Andros, I can't believe that you're still such a fool.
Huh. You know, I always suspected Zordon was an asshole, but I never got confirmation until now. Nah, it's Dark Spectre.
Yeah, Dark Spectre,
Zordon isn't on the planet. Astronema claims that it was all a trap, but Dark Spectre insists on having her destroy them as her final test. However, she can't go through with it and saves them, Ecliptor coming to help her as well, despite being injured. Yeah, Ecliptor is evil, but he still loves Astronema as a father to her. They try to take him with them, but Ecliptor is overrun and insists they get her out of there. Astronema's pretty badass here too, smacking around Darkonda for good measure and blasting some Piranhatrons. A pity she doesn't keep the staff later, it's really useful. Darkonda is given temporary command of the Dark Fortress, with Dark Spectre saying that Astronema will return and her loyalty will never stray again. Dark Spectre puts his plan into motion the next episode, launching a huge asteroid at Earth. Astronema says she can sneak back aboard the Dark Fortress and stop the asteroid, but she's stopped by Ecliptor, who's been given cybernetic enhancements and reprogrammed to be totally loyal to Dark Spectre. With no other options left, the Rangers use the 3 Megazords to try to push the asteroid out of the path of Earth. However, the 3 Megazords just aren't enough at first. Salvation arrives with Zane, who comes in with his own Megazord, the Mega Winger. After pushing the asteroid away, Andros and Zane travel to the Dark Fortress to try to rescue Astronema, but when they discover her, she's been given cybernetic implants as well.
What did they do to you?
I am Locutus, a Borg.
Astronema's even more cold and dark than
you.
before, usually displaying no emotion save for a frightening glare at anything she sees. Analysis by Deca indicates that Corone is still inside of her, but the computer programming is controlling her actions, and there's no way to get through to her in her present state.
Oof. Yeah, that's not something I want to hear from about your sister, you know? I mean, that's sad, to be honest. Oof, poor Corone. Like, I don't know, actually, should I keep calling her Corone or Andromeda? I don't know. Right. You know what I mean, right? Andromeda kind of rolls off the tongue more than Corone, but what are you gonna do? So, anywho, to wrap things up, here comes part 2, and let's wrap up the season.
The downside of making someone so categorically evil is that they suddenly don't really care about their previous loyalties. The thing is, Astronema followed Dark Spectre because the forces of evil raised her and made her believe her enemy was the Power Rangers. However, now that she's in full-on evil mode, she sees no reason to actually be loyal to Dark Spectre, opting instead to want to destroy him and take his place as the Grand Monarch of Evil. Her plan is brilliant, and we finally get something we've been wanting since the show began.
Psycho Rangers.
Evil Power Rangers. These are the Psycho Rangers, and Psycho is a perfect description.
Again,
the Psycho Rangers are completely insane, driven by psychopathic rage to destroy their Ranger counterparts to the point of single-minded obsession.
We're faster than you, smarter than you, stronger than you.
And they live up to that boast, easily able to outfight the Rangers. To make matters worse, they absorb the Rangers' minds and gain information about how they fight, meaning they can outthink them in battle. Where they came from is never really explained, though it's implied that they're actually monsters, transformed into this state because when they're forced to go giant-sized, they take on monstrous forms. However, Astronema didn't just bring the Psychos in to destroy the Rangers. She's tied their energy directly into Dark Spectre. That way, the more energy they burn up, the more Dark Spectre is diminished. As such, she repeatedly recalls the Psychos away from finishing off the Rangers because not enough of Dark Spectre has been drained. Still, even when they're recalled away, they do get their point across. The Psychos outfight the Rangers in every major encounter they have, even when it's just 1 or 2 of them. They do manage to start picking off the Psycho Rangers one at a time, but it's not easily done. Psycho Pink is the first to fall, and even then it's more because of the fact that the Psychos' own obsessions keep them from cooperating with each other. In my opinion, the highlight of the Psycho Rangers saga is 5 of a Kind. TJ comes up with the idea of swapping opponents for their next encounter, but the Psychos are easily able to switch them back around again and severely injure TJ. While TJ reviews the fight, the color on the monitor goes out, and he gets the brilliant idea of having everyone on the team wearing the same color. Not sure how the hell they all managed to get into Blue Ranger uniforms, but we'll pretend that they can do that. Another brief strategy they employ is to have Zane dress up as a Silver Psycho Ranger and get in close enough to blast the Psychos. What's great about this episode is that it shows the team thinking outside the box in order to combat the Psychos. While the Psychos are still more powerful than them and are capable of putting up a damn good fight, seeing the Rangers actually being creative and utilizing new strategies is a major plus, and not done very often in previous series, where the most creative they got was a new one-off weapon or device. After the defeat of Psycho Blue, the last 3 Psychos managed to capture the Mega Voyager. The Rangers hunt after their Zords, finally locating it in a distant galaxy. While Zane distracts the Psychos, the Rangers attempt to retrieve the Zords. However, as it turns out, Psycho Yellow manages to use some kind of electronic possession ability to enter the Mega Voyager, taking control of it. Psycho Red takes on the Red Ranger personally, but help finally arrives in the form of the Astro Megazord. Psycho Yellow is expelled using the antivirus technique of hit it with a sword. All 4 Megazords go up against the remaining 3 Psychos and manage to destroy them. Dark Spectre survives the energy drain, but probably is weakened by the experience, as we'll see. The Rangers resume their search for Zordon in a single filler episode that feels completely at odds with what happened with the Psycho Rangers. Still, the Psycho Rangers weren't quite done yet. Their spirits survived as ghosts, somehow, unable to harm the Rangers or be seen by them. So we have evil Monster Ranger ghosts, but not robot ghosts. In Mission...
To be fair, I think with that one, it was more like they were like so driven to destroy the Rangers, they like outwilled death or something. Like ghosts are, like I said, ghosts are kind of like the spirits of people who still have unfinished business. So you can see what's up, right? Anyway,
Into Secret City, the plot revolves around a monster kidnapping hundreds of people, including Andros and Carlos, and bringing them to a secret city. The two can't morph, and the people are enslaved. However, before we get into that, I should talk about an awesome Bulk and Skull moment. Throughout the season, they've been mostly just very occasional comic relief, since most of the story has been about finding Zordon or the Astronomer reveal. However, in this case, when the monster first shows up, Bulk charges in.
Don't make me use this!
It's my new toaster!
Are you serious?
Sure, it's only a small moment, but it is a prelude to what happens in the season finale. What's really awesome about this one is that the other Rangers hatch a plan to get to the secret city and go all commando, coming prepared with explosives, their blasters, and other equipment. All the Rangers really get to kick ass in this episode and come off as very professional. Andros and Carlos manage to escape thanks to Andros' battleizer. He decides to finally try the third setting on the battleizer, giving him the super armored form I mentioned that also grants him flight. Shockingly, the battleizer mode isn't just glitter. Sure, it's pretty much just a way to sell toys, but it's an entirely American concept that makes sense, upgrading weapons in the war against evil. Anyway, the secret city gets teleported away along with all the people inside of it. Astronema tests the device on Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus that digitizes them and stores them as data cards. Astronema plans to use the device to transform people into a new army for conquering the Earth. The Rangers find the city again and infiltrate it, the ghosts of the Psycho Rangers following. The Rangers fall into Astronema's trap and are converted to data cards. However, despite the fact that the Rangers are defeated, the Psychos are so single-minded that they're pissed that they didn't get to destroy them. Hell, it's not even enough to crush the data cards. They have to kill them in person. And so they enter the machine and are reconstituted into actual beings before taking the Rangers' data cards from Ecliptor and changing them back to normal. While the Psychos and the Rangers fight, Zane is sent in to change the people back to normal. And of course, the first to be turned back are Bulk, Skull, and Phenomenus.
We were changed into data cards by aliens!
He's like, really?
Genius is never appreciated in its time. Anyway, the Rangers lead the Psychos back into the facility, and the Psychos get converted into data cards themselves, where I'm sure we'll never see them again. The facility explodes before Zane can retrieve the Psychos' data cards, leaving them there. However, as it turns out, Astronema has gotten her hands on them. The Rangers are tricked into leaving the megaship to answer a false distress signal, leading to the Astro megaship being caught in a web created by the Dark Fortress. The web is impervious to their weapons, and the Rangers are cut off from their powers. Astronema sends Ecliptor to the megaship to take it over, leaving Alpha alone to defend it. Alpha manages to password protect the databanks and has to fend off Ecliptor throughout the episode with Dekka's help. After a failed attempt to depressurize the cargo bay and send Ecliptor into space, Ecliptor manages to get access to the computer and learns the location of the Mega Voyager's hangar. The Rangers are rescued by Zane, along with his galactic rover, so we can squeeze out one last toy before the show ends. Ecliptor proceeds to supercharge himself with the ship's power and teleport to the Mega Voyager's hangar, where Zane engages him. However, in his charged state, he's able to fight off Zane and severely damages the Mega Voyager. Andros uses his battleizer to break through the web surrounding the ship, and in the ensuing battle, the Delta Megazord is also destroyed. They manage to stop Ecliptor, but it's a hollow victory now that they've lost one of their Megazords. There's one more episode before the finale, and it's technically a filler, but I want to talk about it anyway because it's just awesome. A Line in the Sand starts with Andros and Ashley walking through the streets at night. I like this for a couple of reasons. First and foremost being that we don't actually get a lot of shots or fight scenes at night in this show, so it's different in a good way. Next, it builds on the Andros and Ashley relationship that's actually been growing throughout the season. Sure, we never see them kissing like Tommy and Kimberly did, but little things like gifts, conversations, feeling bad for one another, or just being together more really helped build it up gradually. However, their date comes to an end when someone tries to run them over. It's a very ominous episode as they're stalked and attacked by a large Humvee. The action is great as the thing really does look like it's about to run them over before it hits 88 miles per hour. The format of this episode is different too. There aren't any Quantron fights like usual. Instead, in the beginning, it's just this monster, Tankenstein, stalking the Rangers in civilian form and trying to capture them. It's even more ominous as it teleports the Rangers to a desert, but doing so in a manner that shows that if it didn't, it would have run them down. Tankenstein's pretty damn powerful too, immune to the Rangers' weapons and blaster fire. The Rangers show some real competence as they keep trying to defeat it, but eventually all are transported to the desert. They get rescued by Zane, again, and it
Okay,
devolves
the
into the
buggy.
standard giant monster fight, although this time the Mega Voyager does get destroyed, leaving the Rangers with just the Astro Megaship and the Mega Winger. And thus the season, for all its ups and downs, finally comes to a conclusion in Countdown to Destruction.
Summon all of my evil forces. They must all unite to finally take over the universe.
Let the battle begin.
The Millennium Message has come to pass. Dark Spectre rallies all the members of the United Alliance of Evil, with Astronema as the coordinating general. Divatox goes after the Equation Rangers. Zed and Rita attack Triforia.
It's great to be back in the game.
And the Machine Empire faces the Phantom Ranger and the Blue Centurion. Zordon is transferred to the Dark Fortress to witness it all.
You have a front row seat to the end of your era.
The Machine Empire also attacks the KO-35 rebels, who need reinforcements. Zane heads out to get the rest of the Rangers for help, but they inform him that the attacks are coming from every sector of the universe. The Rangers then detect a force of 1,000 Velocifighters heading straight for Earth. So the Rangers go there first. Zane faces the Velocifighters in the Megaship, while the Rangers head down to the surface to confront the invading Quantrons and Piranatrons. It's no simple attack on the abandoned buildings district either. There's widespread destruction and ground troops just swarming everywhere. However, it's more than apparent as the fight continues that the Rangers are simply outnumbered. They try to free as many people as they can, but even the Battleizer mode isn't enough against so many. The Rangers, blasted repeatedly, power down and withdraw. Zane eventually vacates the Megaship, I guess it's hiding behind the moon or something, it's not explained, and heads to the Mega Winger to deal with the remaining fighters. However, the sheer amount of Velocifighters finally overwhelms him, and the Mega Winger is destroyed. The Rangers regroup in the rubble, not certain of what to do. On the Dark Fortress, Astronema plans to annihilate the Earth with a fighter equipped with a specially designed torpedo made strictly for planet busting. However, Darkonda overhears and, upon realizing that he only has one life remaining, decides to seize his chance for power. He steals the fighter and flies out to Dark Spectre, launching the planet buster at him. While the blast does destroy Dark Spectre, who I'm going to assume has also been weakened thanks to Astronema's efforts on Psycho Rangers, he manages to destroy Darkonda in his final seconds. In the wake of Dark Spectre's death, Zordon tries to pull Corone free of the Astronema personality. While the implants short-circuit for a moment, she remains her evil self. Astronema takes supreme control over all the evil forces. Divatox takes it well.
Hey, what is everyone doing? Don't pray to her! You work for me!
Part 1 ends with the Dark Fortress looming over what remains of Angel Grove. As Part 2 begins, Astronema addresses the Earth, demanding that the Power Rangers be handed over to her by the next morning, or she'll annihilate the planet.
It's them or you.
Hey, don't worry, guys. If you lose the Rangers, you've still got the Ninja Turtles, at least. That night, the people are fearful that the Rangers have abandoned them.
Listen, everyone. The Rangers have never let us down before. We have to believe they'll be here.
We'll get back to Bulk and Skull in a minute, but it's always nice to see them stick up for the Rangers. The team discusses what to do. The idea of organizing a resistance with the civilians is thrown out because they don't want to risk people's lives. Andros wants to go to the Dark Fortress in one last effort to convince Astronema to stop all this, but the others say it's clear that his sister is gone. The Rangers get back to work, still optimistic that they'll pull through. Andros sneaks off to go to the Dark Fortress, but Ashley finds him. It's a tender moment between the two, and he begins to tell her something if he doesn't see her again, but...
Yep. Save her
I
when you
will
come
see
back.
you again.
Aw.
The next morning, the people have been gathered, and Astronema demands the Rangers be handed over. The Rangers get ready to step in, but they're given a little more time from the most unlikely of sources.
Bulk the Skull?
I am the Blue Ranger. I'm the Black Ranger.
And so, Bulk and Skull's journey is complete. The two who stand and stare down Astronema are not the same people who wanted to be taught karate so they could learn how to beat people up. Over the course of the series, we have witnessed their transformation from bullies to good-natured bumblers. But here we finally see them stand as heroes. While this season didn't really work towards that development very much, the Phenomena stuff wasn't included very often and didn't do much to advance their characters anyway, their development has been over 6 years. 6 years of running from monsters, coming up with plans, trying to be good police officers, acting as detectives, and even trying to live in the everyday world have shaped these two into people who will look evil in the face without fear. but their greatest moment still has yet to happen. As more people declare themselves to be Rangers, as well as being Spartacus, Astronema just decides to destroy them all.
We are the Power Rangers.
Huh. Who knew?
I mean, have we ever even met Zane? As the Rangers leap into battle, that talk about not wanting to risk the lives of civilians is tossed aside as Farkas Bulkmeyer and Eugene Skulovich lead the charge.
Come on, guys, let's get him out! Yes, sir! Fuck. Here we go! Charge!
Bulk and Skull's finest moment has arrived, fighting alongside the Rangers and bringing the ordinary people into the fight against evil. Not too shabby for the two who once got detention simply for failing an assignment. Meanwhile, Andros gets on board the Dark Fortress and creates a diversion, clearing the fortress's bridge. He seals himself in, finally coming face to face with the real Zordon. However, their reunion takes on a grim reality. Zordon explains that there's only one way to stop the forces of evil that have taken over most of the universe.
Shatter my energy tube.
No! What?
He says that the good energy contained in the tube will sweep over the universe, defeating everything that is evil. However, this means that Zordon will die, though he says that his spirit will live on in all that is good. Andros can't bring himself to do it, but Astronema comes in for the final battle with Andros. The two fight, or rather, Andros gets tossed around until he deflects one of her own blasts back at her. She collapses, and Ecliptor manages to get in, seeing what's happened to her. He's pissed, and Zordon once again asks Andros to do what he has to.
It is your duty as a Power Ranger to save the universe.
Yep, definitely the end of an era.
I am Zordon, an interdimensional being caught in a time warp. You've been chosen to form an elite team to battle Rita. Finally, the prophecy has been fulfilled. The Sixth Ranger is now one of us. By giving his coin to another Ranger, Tommy can prevent Rita from gaining its power. It is the only way. You are a strong and courageous fighter, Green Ranger, and an honorable man. In your hearts, you will always carry the spirit of the Power Rangers, but your destinies lie elsewhere.
It was never my intention to deprive any of you a life experience such as this.
A new day is upon us, and the time has come for you to accept the powers of the Zeo Crystal. Words can't express the gifts you have given me and the people of Earth. We will miss you dearly.
Farewell.
You need each other now, and the world needs you.
Rangers of the Zordon era, we thank you. Gotta love the somber moment there, you know?
And thus the Zordon era, and the continuous story of the last 6 seasons and 293 episodes comes to a close as Andros shatters the tube. And it's like Astronema said, he has a front row seat to the end of his era. The energy released sweeps across the universe. Ecliptor is reduced to dust, Mondo and Machina are equally destroyed, as well as Elgar, thank God. Rita and Zed are changed into human beings who gleefully start dancing together, Divatox becomes a woman in white, making her look an awful lot like Demetria, lending credence to the theory that the two were sisters. The civilians on Earth celebrate, but Andros lands the Dark Fortress and carries out Astronema's dead body to the others. And in what is the only real misstep of the episode, Andros cries and his tears bring her back to life. What a crock, especially in an episode that was otherwise taking itself pretty damn seriously. Really, I'm just going to assume that it was a coincidence and the Z-Wave, as it is called in fandom, just took a bit longer to affect her. The KO-35 rebels return to their homeworld to begin rebuilding, and the Rangers say their farewells to Andros, Karone, and Zane. Ashley wants him to stay with them.
KO-35 is my home.
However, as the megaship takes off, Andros is there.
My home is with you guys.
Oh. Hey,
the
room for one more?
Shop. About right to Earth.
And while the last season ended with the Rangers departing the Earth in defeat, the end of this one has them returning to it in victory. Power Rangers in Space is the final season that carries on directly from the previous one. From this point onwards, every season would start with an entirely original cast, save for Dino Thunder, but we'll get to that. Storylines were brought to a close, and Countdown to Destruction is considered by many to be one of the finest episodes in the entire show. From my own personal recollections, I can tell you that it's just as good as when I first saw it back then. Sure, there are things about it that I wish had happened, there are aspects like the magic tears that I wish had been done differently, but regardless of that, as an ending to all of Power Rangers, if this had been the true finale, it would have been awesome. This season is a space opera, and a glorious one at that. Unlike previous big bads, Astronema didn't usually bother with any ludicrous plans involving, say, making a Ranger want to continually eat all the time, or making them light as a feather. No, Astronema was a war general. She had an army that she utilized to fight the Rangers. Her goals were usually very specific, and while on one or two occasions they were downright goofy, most of the time she was very specific in her intentions. The recurring theme of this season, besides for the space opera, is ultimately the battle of good versus evil, and whether it's predestination that makes things evil, or is it by choice. The wasp monster with a heart, the Evilizer device, Karone becoming Astronema, and yes, even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being controlled to do evil. All ask the question of whether or not evil is something you can just be. The Wasp monster in particular raises some interesting ethical questions concerning the Rangers' actions. Every previous monster that they've encountered seems to be evil, but if monsters exist that actually are good and peaceful, who's to say that previous monsters they've encountered haven't just been browbeaten into having to serve evil? While the question remains unexplored, the episode serves as an excellent analog to what happened to Karone. Raised to be evil, but ultimately is good. And while it has its wooby moments, it's otherwise an excellent episode where we finally see Cassie really get pissed off. The look that she gives Astronema when the Wasp sacrifices itself for her could cut through steel. While I'm sure a lot of the themes are unintentional, there's a lot hinting going on with the filler episodes. There's also an episode where Astronema has to pretend to be Ashley and infiltrate the megaship. She has to pretend to be someone good to accomplish her goals. She's a good person, raised to be evil, impersonating someone good. It's a funny old world, isn't it? Ecliptor was a cut above the usual evil generals. He routinely kicked the Rangers' asses, but he had his own sense of ethics, particularly when it came to Astronema. I admit, I was disappointed that Ecliptor was reduced to dust by Zordon's energy wave, especially since he went through so much just trying to protect Astronema, but ultimately I suppose anything that was truly good about him died when Astronema was seemingly killed. On a personal note, Power Rangers in Space is my favorite season of the show. In many ways it feels like a childhood's end kind of deal. Not only for the loss of Zordon and the rise of more mature storytelling in the show, but Adam's return with a broken and scarred Morpher for a last hurrah feels like a great send-off to what came before. I've got to admit, Zack as the Black Ranger was my favorite of the original 5, and while it's not Zack in this episode, seeing the Black Ranger one more time as the last Mighty Morphin team member we'd see for a while was nostalgic as all hell. To sum up the season in a single word, it's finality. The season was written with the clear intention of it being the end of Power Rangers. The stakes were larger, the stories were more complex, and the death of Zordon brought everything to a close, symbolic of a team of superheroes that no longer needed the guidance of their great mentor in order to excel. If Power Rangers had ended right here, it would have ended on a high note. However, Power Rangers in Space had brought the viewers back en masse. The ratings were higher than ever before, and there was enough support for the series to continue on. Hence, when we return next time, we'll begin discussing the Rangers' journey to the Lost Galaxy.
Yep. One more time, we're heading over And that's the end. Well, sorry, I'm just trying to think things through. So anyway, that's the end of the Zordon era Power Rangers. Next time, it's solo seasons now, with Lost Galaxy coming up next. So I'll find some time to cover that. And until then, thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.